You're trying to make a submarine fly, and this is why it's not going to fly. The reason why it's not going to fly is because in your videos, you subscribe to methodological naturalism, correct?
For science, yes, obviously.
Yes. And now you're asking, well, sorry, what's your name?
Josh.
Josh, you're asking Josh for scientific evidence of God?
Yes.
Do you realize they contradict each other, these two things?
So there's no scientific evidence of God.
You don't realize.
I'm asking him, is there scientific...
Wait, hang on one second. What I'm saying is something different. Don't make a straw man. Wait 1 second.
He said
the point I'm making is you're contradicting yourself by saying we subscribe to methodological naturalism.
He had evidence of God, scientific evidence. I'm saying he does not. We are now demonstrating that he does not have
hang on, Aaron. The only thing I'm trying to show you is what you say in your videos is contradicting what you're saying right now.
No, it isn't.
I'll tell you why. Your videos, you're very explicitly clear that methodological naturalism is the way science works. Correct. Now, methodological naturalism means natural effects, natural causation. That's it.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Now, for somebody to say, I want scientific evidence of God, you're trying to make a submarine fly.
He's saying, so when he says that he has scientific evidence of God, he's making a submarine fly?
No, I didn't.
He's saying he has evidence.
I'm making a different point. I'm making a different point.
2 seconds, okay? Just to qualify a few things. All I was trying to say to you is that this is also a metaphysical discussion because you're talking about something in metaphysics.
Okay.
You can.
Which he doesn't like either.
No, so I'm saying I don't believe that anything that I said to you was not evidence that you would agree to be evidence. I would define evidence. That's why I said.
I had to be explicit. We are talking about scientific evidence.
1 second. I would say evidence is just simply a proposition that renders a hypothesis as probable.
Right.
That is then taken.
And I
that proposition.
And I specified that in science it is necessarily a fact, objectively verifiable facts that indicate one conclusion over any other.
But then,
wait, hang on. That's not true.
That can't
that's
be
not true.
Yes, that is.
Shall I tell you why that's not true? That's not true because of the problem of underdetermination and the problem of unconceived alternatives.
The fact that the evidence is defined the way that I say is not true because
you're saying there's one inference that you can make, right? But in philosophy of science, wait, hang on. Let me just make a general point. You study philosophy of science, so do I. So tell me this or not. Is there not such a thing as the underdetermination of unconceived alternatives, right? Carl Stanford and all the rest, right? What that basically says is the same evidence, you can make different inferences based upon that. Now, if you're going to disagree with the philosophy of science, what you're actually...
Which I'm obviously not doing.
No, but you made it very clear that you don't agree with it, right?
No,
and if you don't agree with it, basically what you're saying is you're challenging the foundations of science.
Of evidence, and I'm asking for it.
Yeah, but that's not
No, that's not what you're doing. What you're actually doing is this, Aaron. The reason why you're disagreeing with me and you're disagreeing with him is because you misunderstand the philosophy of science. That's the reason why you disagree. And you don't like it, which you've made explicitly clear.
No, just
But
say that.
I haven't. And I don't disagree with the philosophy of science.
Okay, so tell me this. Tell me this.
He was not able to provide that.
So tell me this. Are you a scientific realist or an instrumentalist?
How are you defining evidence?
I'm not defining evidence. I'm asking a question. Are you a scientific
realist? I thought you might be evasive about that, so I want to press you on.
Wait, hang on. Are you a scientific realist or a scientific instrumentalist?
I don't know. Don't care.
Okay, wait, hang on a second. No, wait, hang on. I'll tell you why that matters, and it bears on the evidence.
I want to know.
I'm going to answer that.
How you define evidence.
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer that. The reason
I was very explicit and correct.
Wait 1 second.
He says I'm wrong, so he's going to have to give me the correction. What is the actual definition?
Sure.
How are you defining evidence?
Sure. It depends on whether you are a scientific realist or a scientific instrumentalist.
How do you define evidence?
So let me explain. If you're a scientific realist, then that would mean...
How do you define evidence?
Aaron, 1 second. If you're scientific...
Is this a difficult question?
Wait, Aaron, relax. If you're a scientific realist, then that basically means that evidence for you is the evidence from science. Whatever you observe, whatever you see, whatever theories come up with, you believe that the unobservable world is the way that science is actually describing. However, if you're a scientific instrumentalist, then you believe in the observable claims, but you don't believe in the unobservable claims. This is also known as constructive empiricism. So when it comes to evidence, it matters whether you're a realist or constructive empiricist. Now tell me, as a philosopher of science, you're doing PhD, right, or something like that.
How do you?
Tell me this, right?
No, not in philosophy of science.
Okay.
No, so you'll know more than me.
Right. So look,
how do you define
if I'm a scientific instrumentalist, then evidence for me means something different for a scientific realist. Now Aaron says, I don't know. I don't think you know the difference between the two, to be honest.
No, I don't.
No, if you don't,
because I don't.
Relax, he can speak for himself.
Don't accept me to...
Relax, he can speak for himself. So, if you're a scientific realist and you're a scientific instrumentalist, evidence is going to mean two different things for you. That's what I'm saying.
I don't understand this argument at all.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
asked you how
That's
you
what I'm trying to
define
educate you.
evidence. I did not get an answer.
I did give you the answer. The answer was, it depends whether you're an instrumentalist or a realist.
How do you?
How
do you define evidence?
Sure. Okay. So the way I define evidence is based upon my view, and the view that I hold. The view that I hold is that of constructive empiricism, and it has a subset view called selectionism. So I believe in the view of selectionism. Now, selectionism basically says this: we believe the claims about observables that scientists make, but claims about unobservables we do not accept. We are agnostic about them. Now, this view of selectionism, this was first proposed by Bas van Frassen, he's a philosopher of science, and this view was then developed by Brad Ray and others. And what this view basically says is this: if you look at science, there are some constraints in science which stop it from achieving truth, which fall short of it achieving truth. He can speak for himself. I'm speaking to him. I'm not speaking to him. I'm only, look, one second. I am not sharing my view. I'm sharing the view of philosophers of science. Let me explain that. You can challenge that. Look, I'm here to talk. Look, to be honest, I'm here to talk to Aron Ra, not you.
Yeah, well, we can all talk whenever we feel
That's
like.
fine.
When we had our debate.
That's fine. One second. I'm answering your question. One second. I'm answering your question.
Our debate.
Aaron,
your
let me.
entire tactic
Aaron,
throughout that debate was to redefine.
I'm answering your question.
Everything incorrectly.
Aaron,
so
but
that's
you,
what you're doing now.
Aaron, I'm answering your question. Let me complete your question. Your question is this.
Darwinism as something that it never was.
Wait, hang on. Don't try and change the topic. We can go to that. Okay. So when it comes to selectionism, the reason why selectionists believe that science doesn't achieve truth but only achieves instrumentally useful theories.
What is truth?
Well, truth is, well, it depends how you define it, because there's different definitions.
That
But
corresponds to reality.
yes,
So that's why
you
I
could have.
support
Well, hang on. One second.
Exactly.
Look, wait.
So he's supporting my position that the truth is what the facts are.
You asked the question. Let me answer it.
Science can achieve facts.
No,
right?
so,
That's true.
Aaron, listen for a second. I'm answering your question you asked me, and you keep interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you. So here's the thing. You asked about why I believe selectionism. Here's why I believe in selectionism. The problem of unconceived alternatives. Science works by having a web of theories which fit in, and those web of theories, they have unconceived alternatives, unconceived theories, unconceived observations, unconceived predictions. So because of this reason, what science gives us is not truth, but gives us
Except that the truth is what the
correspondence
facts are,
theory.
as we just established.
Correspondence theory. Truth. 1 second.
So we can verify things that
Aaron,
are true.
I'm just about to finish.
Okay.
So the view I subscribe to is a view in the philosophy of science known as selectionism, and that view basically says we are going to be agnostic about unobservables. Now, if you're attacking me, you need to attack the philosophers of science and write papers against them. You can't just say what the view that I hold is wrong.
We've already established the truth is what the facts are. Science can achieve things that are true. Science can determine what is true.
I don't think you listened to anything I said.
What?
I don't think you listened to anything I said.
I wish I had, but I had.
That's why.
Okay, so tell me this. I spoke. Aaron, you make popular YouTube videos. You've got millions of hits, and you don't know the basics about instrumentalism, realism, constructive empiricism, selectionism, constraints. You don't know none of
Those
this.
are philosophical. I'm not interested in philosophy.
So if you're not interested in philosophy, why are you talking about metaphysics? Why are you talking about the existence of God? Why are you dismissing all of philosophy of science?
I specified scientific evidence.
And by the way, listen, here's the thing. If you understood the philosophy of science, you wouldn't be making the statements you're making now. That's what I'm saying.
Bring in metaphor.
And all I'm saying
So
is
if he's
it's
saying that,
Sorry?
but that
All I'm
doesn't
saying
support
is
God,
it's
you're doing, that's a
Is what?
metaphysical
is
statement.
that you are wrong. Still,
Wait, hang
as
on,
always.
hang on. But why am I wrong?
Part of the universe, right?
No, but metaphysics is
Because
just
you're
talking
trying.
about
Okay,
ultimate reality.
you said that science doesn't achieve truth.
So if you're
which
saying something
it
doesn't
does.
correspond to reality, that's
So
different.
challenge the philosophers of science who say it doesn't.
God does not
Okay,
correspond
but we
with reality.
established the
Doesn't
truth is what the
correspond
facts
with
are, right? I had all that we needed to do.
Correspondence theory of truth, fine.
All we had to understand was what you
But
mean
then
by
how
truth.
can you do that
These
without
guys say
dealing with
truth is what
Science
conforms to
provides
reality. The
evidence,
truth is
but
what the
it
facts
doesn't-
are.
it doesn't-
Then your statement is wrong. Using that definition.
So are you saying selectionism is wrong?
You then have to bring in certain.
No, I don't know anything about selection.
Exactly.
It may be right. I may be of the same position that you are because the way you describe it sounds like what I subscribe to.
No,
as well.
but you believe in scientific. It sounds like you believe in scientific realism.
Why? Because I would have thought that I believed in empiricism.
No. Okay, Aaron, like this is getting really silly now, right? Empiricism, scientific realism, two different
think it was silly
categories.
as soon as you got
No. It's two different categories, right? They're both empiricism.
Okay.
For you to think scientific realism is something different to scientific to empiricism is two different things.
Give your descriptions again.
Okay, scientific realism, scientific instrumentalism.
And what are they?
Okay, scientific realism is we believe in claims about observables that scientists make, and we believe in claims which are made about unobservable entities, structures, and processes.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, so for example, who would be a good...
Give me the other one.
Oh, wait, no, hang on a second.
Because I don't think that's
No.
Give me the other.
Okay. So, when it comes to general relativity says time and space is flexible, and it also makes other sort of claims, and you have claims, for example, in quantum mechanics about the Copernican interpretation and this interpretation and many worlds, right?
Okay.
So a scientific realist would say, when scientists are talking about the unobservables, entities, structures, and processes, they are talking about actual things, right? So that's realism. The second view is scientific...
There are people who think that we're talking about God is not real?
No. I'm talking about scientific realism and scientific instrumentalism. Okay, now tell me whether you agree with scientific instrumentalism. Scientific instrumentalism says this. We believe in claims that scientists make about observable entities. But
I don't like the term believe in either case, but go ahead.
I'm just giving you philosophical definitions.
Okay, I don't like those.
Okay, I know you clearly don't. So claims about unobservables, entities, processes, and structures, we are going to be agnostic about them. We're not going to say they are true. We're not going to say they are false. We're just going to remain agnostic about them. Now, I've given you two divergent views, and there's some views in the middle, right? Now, which ones do you subscribe to? Instrumentalism. Now, if you believe in instrumentalism, what you're basically...
believe in.
Okay.
Subscribe to?
Do you subscribe to it?
Yeah. I think that more seems to
you subscribe to it. Then that basically means when scientists are speaking about natural selection being a creative force for the generation of... Okay, fine. Forget even... Look, forget...
He said he had evidence of God.
Wait, hang on. I'm not...
I specified I was talking about scientific evidence and I asked him for that.
I'm not changing the topic. Just give me a second. When scientists are talking about unobservable entities, processes, and structures, they are not saying something which is true. They are saying something which it might be true or might be false. They're agnostic about it. So if you're a scientific instrumentalist, that means Darwinian evolution, which you support.
And what do you think Darwinian evolution?
Wait, hang on.
Because this where it gets funny.
Hang on.
I'm serious.
Hang on. Wait, hang on. That basically means you don't believe it to be true if you're an instrumentalist. So that basically means this whole time, Aaron, you know what you just did? I made a little hole, you walked into it.
No, I didn't.
You just admitted you're a scientific instrumentalist.
If you want to call that admission.
You did say that. You did say that. That means you believe science doesn't give you truth, but gives you instrumentally useful theories.
Oh no, but it can show what is true.
Don't deny that. But that means that your claims about science gives you truth is false.
As I said to him earlier,
wait.
You can't prove a hypothesis to be true, you can't prove a hypothesis to be true, but you can prove it false.
That's not true. One second, Aaron, let me explain. You're referring to Popper's falsificationism, which scientists have moved away from. They've actually moved away from that. You're like 40 years out of date.
Except that they're still teaching.
Because philosophers of science have moved on to scientific holism now.
Scientific holism?
Holism,
Is this every scientist? Is this a
No, these are. Wait, listen. You're not important. He is. Let me speak to him.
Oh well, man, you just. Is that
the guy who owns the cameras?
Look, he's trying to help you. He's trying to help you. You're not going to get help today. You
don't know my perspective.
ain't going to get help today.
I want to learn.
Salaam alaikum. Okay.
What's the issue, man? What's the problem?
So he said he had evidence of God. We are talking.
Are you not gonna acknowledge the fact that you just fell in a hole?
No. You can't
just
show me
deluded
that
them.
I fell into a hole.
Because you just agreed to scientific instrumentalism.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And that basically means you don't believe science gives you truth but instrumentally useful theories.
Okay, even if that's the case.
That is the case.
Even if that's the case, it has no relevance.
So we're going to swiftly move on. We're going to swiftly move on.
It has no relevance to our discussion.
It does.
How?
It does. Because what you believe in is science can give you truth. And I just took you all the way around to showing you that you just contradicted yourself.
Okay, so call it a contradiction then. How is it relevant to our discussion?
Well, how it's relevant is from a contradiction, anything follows. So since you contradict yourself and you're happy with having a worldview which has contradiction, you can make any claim.
It's okay. I don't know.
That's
what you mean
by the way, that's a
but
principle in
we were
philosophy.
talking about-
From a contradiction, anything follows.
Again, we were talking about truth being what the facts are, what we can show to be true, right?
Yeah, and the conversation moved on to science and the philosophy of science, which you dismissed.
Right.
And I
So-
showed that you
so
accepted
getting back-
scientific instrumentalism, which, by the way, you need to delete all of your YouTube videos about Darwinian evolution being true.
Should probably
Have fun with your word salad.
Okay,
But that's still not relevant to what we were talking about.
Of course it is. Because,
course it
look,
isn't.
the reason why I came in is, look, I didn't even know this guy, right? But what I do know about him
You
is
don't
this.
know me either, by the way, mate.
I don't really
And
know.
You're making assumptions
look,
about what I think.
look,
And
we-
it'll have a rude
look,
way.
look,
I'm out of here
look.
because
You're
I'm
out
not
of
playing philosophical word
Cool, man.
salad.
Well, I had a good discussion
Wait,
with
hang
you
on,
anyway.
Josh.
Thank you.
You know.
I thought we did.
Yeah,
I thought we did.
Josh, your point, I came in.
fair
Wait,
enough, isn't it?
wait, Aaron, what's going on?
What's going on? I'm not playing philosophical word salad.
Can we finish
running?
our conversation?
We're
please?
running?
You're running, yeah. He got you in America, and now he's being.
It seems I'm not allowed to. I'm not
Look,
important enough.
I
to have
handed
a
him his
discussion
ass,
with POE.
and he redefined
He destroyed
everything.
you. He destroyed you in America.
So why are you walking in and out?
I want to talk
Why,
about
why,
that. Because I saw that
hang
you
on, hang on,
uploaded,
hang on.
you
Let's-
uploaded that video of our debate as if you'd done well.
He did.
I was stunned. You sucked ass. You redefined everything wrong. Tell him, what is Darwinism? Is Darwinian evolution a fact? That was our
I'm not
debate.
important enough to talk.
So
Okay.
let's hear his definition of a fact, and let's hear his definition of Darwinian evolution, because his
Subject
definition
change.
are his own definitions.
Can we get back
They
to
are
our-
not the
keep it
definitions
going?
of science.
All right.
So he redefined everything wrong.
Come on, Mr.
And I proved that.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
I
Can I
damn
respond?
debate.
I did.
I
watched
did
it.
prove
I watched
it.
it
Can
twice.
I respond?
I think
Can I respond?
you ask it.
Yeah, respond. What
Okay,
is
respond.
Darwinian evolution?
Okay. So your question is, what is Darwinian evolution and what is a fact?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I didn't interrupt you when you made
Hold on. What is a fact?
I would say a proposition that corresponds to reality.
I don't like proposition. I would like.
Aaron, can I respond to you? Look, he's not going to help you. He's not going to help you. He's definitely not going to help you. All right? Let me just speak to you. So you're saying the fact. What is a fact?
What is a fact?
Now,
Yeah. Now,
in-
are we talking in science?
Aaron, I'm not going to interrupt you.
Are we talking in science?
Can you let me speak?
Seems there's a lot of ego at play here,
Are
isn't
we
it?
talking about science?
Seems that we're not
Let me
interested
complete
in
my
actual
sentence
discussion, isn't it?
She's not going to answer. Okay.
Okay. When we're speaking about fact, the first thing which I want to speak about is what philosophers define fact as, and then we're going to get to science. Okay? So, one of the first problems in the philosophy of science, in fact, there's a paper which is called "Is the First Problem in Philosophy What is a Fact?" That they basically claim it is, and there's a whole bunch of different definitions. However, there is a generally agreed upon definition in science. Now, my first video, which you responded to, which I made on Darwin Day, around that period, right, in 2016, I basically said right at the beginning, Darwinian evolution, if it's defined as a fact from a philosophy point of view, that fact is something which you can define as absolute, doesn't change, and cannot be changed because of future observations, then it's not a fact. However, in the same video, I said if you say a fact is a generally prevailing theory in science, is a theory which is described by the majority, or it is a valid. Wait, hang on, one second. One second, Aaron.
So that first definition of fact, I don't agree with you.
Okay, I'll explain why.
The second one is wrong.
Wait, hang
I
on.
don't know about second one, I'm saying philosophically.
No. Why I said it was this. Look. Too many things going on. But let me just explain. In philosophy, there is a massive discussion about what is a fact. So therefore, whenever you speak about a fact, you need to define what you're speaking about. So in that paper, which is published by Cambridge University, it speaks about what is a fact. And what it goes on to say is this: whenever you speak about a fact in a particular context, you need to define it clearly, then speak about it in a different context. A fact may mean something else. So in the beginning of my video, I said this is the way I am defining a fact for the purposes of this discussion. And I said, and that's the definition I used, which I'm allowed to do.
Which one?
Which I said was something absolute, something that's not going to change, and something that can't be revised, right?
That's not a fact, though.
No.
I mean, in
Hang on,
metaphysics-
I don't.
No, but
In philosophy,
Wait.
In metaphysics, that is
No.
not a definition
Yes,
of fact.
and that's why I
A
said.
definition of fact is either what I said, a proposition that corresponds to
Wait, no,
reality,
wait.
or
No.
an obtaining state of affairs. That is not
Okay,
how
look,
they define
I don't think you're clear on what I'm trying to say.
Wait till you hear how he defines Darwinian
Wait, hang
evolution.
on.
No, but I'm just saying, I agree with you in a lot you're saying, but I'm
No.
saying fact is not defined
Josh,
in metaphysics
Josh,
in that
what
way.
I'm saying is this. In that paper it says, Fact can be defined in many different ways. So therefore, in a context when you're speaking, you need to specify what you're speaking about. Do you understand? So for the purposes of that discussion, I used it in that way. I could use the word truth, I could use a different term. For the purposes of that discussion, it doesn't mean that in philosophy there's only one definition, because according to the paper which I just referenced, there is no one definition. And that's what you're saying, okay? Now, the definition of Darwinian evolution, what is the definition? Now, Darwinian evolution can be defined by many, whether you look at pre-modern synthesis or post-modern synthesis, or later on the extended synthesis.
Still repeating the same error.
Wait, hang on 1 second. Aaron, let me complete. So whenever you speak about Darwinian evolution, you need to define what you mean.
Evolution? Why are you specifying Darwinian evolution? What's the difference?
Philosopher Jerry Fodor, who's a philosopher of science, philosopher of biology, he defines it in this particular way. He says Darwinian evolution has two twin theses. It has a phylogenetic history, the tree of life, and natural selection being the primary mechanism to drive that evolutionary change.
That's wrong too. The primary
so Jerry Fodor's wrong.